My method is the
Speak
best.
from
Space
day one.
repetition.
Only
immerse yourself.
Take a language
class.
Don't
Space
talk
repetition.
to anyone.
Listen, there are a lot of ways to learn a language, but by far the best way to learn is the fun way. So what is the fun way, and what exactly is fun? The fun way is a way to learn languages where you prioritize having fun over, for example, being efficient with your learning or trying to learn as fast as possible. In the fundo style of learning, you essentially want to focus on what gives you dopamine. Dopamine being the chemical in your brain that's produced when you do something that you like or enjoy. And if you are going for the fundo style of learning, then you can't just simply follow a language learning method because someone out there recommended it to you or someone says that it's the most effective method ever. If that method doesn't take into consideration the core differences between people, because the fact is people find different things fun. Hence, for you, you need to tailor your language learning to what you personally enjoy, not simply what other people find effective. Because if you don't, it's a recipe for disaster. And that's mainly the reason why language learning has such a reputation for being impossible. So why is focusing on fun when it comes to language learning important? Well, I've been learning languages for the last 10 years and I've only just, for whatever reason, come to this realization, but the realization is this: fun is the only thing that matters when it comes to language learning. Period. Because if you're not having fun, you quickly lose motivation, you burn out, and no matter how cool you think that speaking your dream language will make you, you simply just lose the drive to learn. I mean, there's a reason why people can literally starve themselves to death playing video games for 16 hours a day, but the second that you give someone some math homework, they're like, it's because doing fun things, for example, like playing video games, gives you a lot of dopamine, whereas doing boring tasks don't. So the goal is to hack language learning in a way where you squeeze out all that sweet dopamine out of the activities that you do in order to learn a language. So how exactly would one go about doing that? So let's say the different activities that one can do to learn a language is on a scale from 1 to 10. Let's say watching foreign TV shows with subtitles in your target language gives you 7 dopamine. Talking to a native speaker, even if you are still a beginner, gives you 9 dopamine. Studying a grammar textbook gives you 2 dopamine. Using a gamified language learning app gives you 6 dopamine. Using a non-gamified language learning app gives you 3 dopamine. Taking a language class in person gives you 1 dopamine. Memorizing a few useful words a day gives you 5 dopamine. Memorizing the meaning of the lyrics to a song that you really like and listening to it on repeat gives you 8 dopamine. Reading a novel gives you 2 dopamine. And reading a manga in your target language gives you 7 dopamine. Essentially, what you want to do is you want to focus almost exclusively on doing activities that give you 5 and above dopamine, at least on the kind of 1 to 10 scale. You see, the main way that people go wrong when it comes to language learning is they hear that they need to do activity X, activity Y, and activity Z. And that is the only way to learn a language, or that is the best way to learn a language, or that is the most effective way to learn a language. Hence, no matter the cost to their own willpower or their motivation, no matter how boring they find it, they need to do it, otherwise it's impossible to speak a language. That is not true, and you have to wonder what would happen if activity X, activity Y, and activity Z were all things that gave that person under 5 dopamine. I mean, if that were the case for that specific person, let's say activity X gave them 3 dopamine, activity Y gave them 2 dopamine, activity Z gave them 4 dopamine. It's no wonder, of course, they're going to fail. The sheer amount of discipline that it would take to routinely, day after day after day, do these activities that give them a low amount of dopamine that they don't really enjoy would be astronomical. It wouldn't be realistic to actually expect them to go through with it. So my advice to you, if you've ever struggled with language learning in the past, and if you have had an experience similar where you've been recommended to do certain things and you just found them so soul-crushing and draining that you could never do them consistently, well, basically I would tell you this. You need to join Miyagi-Do karate. You need to join the Fundo learning style. And you need to only focus on the ways of language learning that are the most fun to you. Out of the 10 activities I listed in this video, you should fully experience each of them and rate them on your own scale of 1 to 10. 10 being the highest amount of dopamine, one being the lowest, or the highest amount of fun and the lowest amount of fun. And you should spend 80% of your language learning time only focusing on doing the activities that rank higher than a 5, and only 20% of your time, or even less, on any activities that you deem to be kind of effective but not super fun. And be aware that the way that you will rank different activities will change over time as you get better at a language and as you just simply mature. So every 6 months you want to reevaluate where everything stands and what rank you give every activity. Now, some people out there might say, well, Ikenna, what about effectiveness? What about learning in the best way? What about learning a way that can get you fluency quick? I mean, what if someone only finds using gamified language learning apps and watching their favorite VTubers to be above a 5, and everything else, whether it be talking to people or going through a textbook, they just find to be under a 5 and not worthy of doing? Well, if that's the case, then so be it. But Ikenna, you can't say, shut up. Go with the fun. それはファンドのやり方だ. Something that everyone needs to realize is that language learning is not a sprint. It is not even a marathon. It is a lifestyle. And if you get good enough at a language, it will stick with you for the rest of your life. It's not about getting good now. It's not about getting good in 2 weeks, or fluent in 3 months, or fluent in 3 years. It doesn't really matter at the end of the day, because your new language will be with you for the rest of your life. So I would say have as much fun with it now. Lay the foundation. Do what you need to do in order to enjoy your language learning experience enough that you do it day after day after day. Because I promise you, eventually your language skills will get strong. And if there's ever a time in the future where you feel like, oh, I really need to make progress quickly, or I really need to focus on effectiveness, there's nothing stopping you from doing that. Listen, at the end of the day, everyone finds different things fun, and it's up to you to find what specific language learning activities make you tick. What activities do you love? Find them, go after them, and do them as much as possible. That is the fun way to learn languages. And yeah, that's what I gotta say. If you are interested in, from the outset, from the beginning of your language learning, to kind of merge both fun and effectiveness, I did spend the last 6 months working on a video course, despite my illness and despite I got a lot of health things going on. I made a video course that walks you through how to learn any language step by step. And not only does it present you with a really solid and effective way of language learning, which we said is not the most important, it also does something that almost no other course does. It adapts to your personality type, and the focus of the method is on fun. The course is called the Ikenna method, and it contains 32 videos that walk you step by step through how to learn any language. It covers the mindset that you need to develop in order to be a successful language learner. It gives you access to an exclusive Discord community of learners who keep you accountable, and in general is the method that I use to learn languages, and it contains all of the wisdom and advice that I've accumulated over the last 10 years. But most importantly, it is the only language learning method and course in the world that changes depending on your specific personality. So whether you are introverted, extroverted, INFP, INFJ, ESTJ, or any other metric for personality you want to use, the most important thing is you having fun, and in pursuit of that goal, I've created a method that adapts itself to you and your personality. Because people are different, however, I'm well aware of the differences, and I'm able to actually suggest fun routes to go down and resources for every personality type out there. But cheeky self-promotion aside, I really hope that you got something from this video, because it's very important, and this is probably the #1 thing that kills the language learning journey of many people. They don't have fun, they don't enjoy it, and that is a critical mistake. You need to be having fun, even if you need to sacrifice some effectiveness. That's it from me. I'll see you in the next video. Take care.